wave hello, and here we go. Dance with me.
Welcome to Read My Lips Radio, a lively hour of unscripted conversations with savvy creatives. Producer and host, akaRadioRed, asks novelists, artists, photographers, designers,
That's a lot of people.
Actors, musicians, composers, screenwriters, directors, and technology innovators about their creative passion, inspirational muses, and how they create. Ooh, how those lips can talk. Now, here's akaRadioRed.
Thank you to the voice who gets me on the air every Monday. I'm Radio Red. Happy to be here. This is my little spot of the world, in the world, my little corner where I talk to really interesting people. And I've got three mega interesting people here today. Before I introduce them, I just want to say that it is, what day of the year is it? Let's see where we are. We're in April. It is Taurus. Anybody here a Taurus? Lisa or James or Tommy? James, you're a Taurus? When were you born?
May the 8th.
Oh, it's coming up. Well, we wish you an early happy birthday. Let's see what day we are. I usually have the day of the year and all that good stuff. Here we are. It's April 27th. It's the 117th day of 2026. And Tommy, I want you to know we used to have the Julian calendar, and Julian had a problem with October. So Libras like me, if I had been born then, would have probably missed our birthday because the first week or two of October was just gone. So Gregorian came along and he said to his mother, probably before he got to be a pope, no disrespect, he said, Mom, I'm going to change the calendar. We're going to have a leap year every fourth year, and we're going to add a day. And all the October babies get their birthdays back. And so we thank Gregorian for his calendar. There are 241 days left of the year. It's the 17th Monday, and nobody cares about that except me. Today is Lizzo's birthday. You know the song About Damn Time? She's 38 years old. It is Prime Rib Day, Devil Dog Cake Day, Gummy Bear Day. I don't want to know what's in yours. It is Tell Me a Story Day. You're all going to tell me a story. It's Morse Code Day. Dot, dee, dot, 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 dot. It's little Pampered Dog Day. Does anybody have a little dog that they're pampering? Tommy, do you have a little dog?
No.
No. Lisa, do you have a little dog?
I did, but she's gone over the Rainbow Bridge.
I'm sorry. James, do you have a little dog?
It must have run away. I don't have it anymore.
There you go. Well, it's also Woody Woodpecker Day, so we'll leave that one alone. And the quote of Shakespeare today is, "The cat will mew and the dog will have his day." Hamlet to Laertes, Act 5, Scene 1 in Hamlet. There you go. So enough of that nonsense. Here we go. I have a special gift for each of you. I'm going to introduce you with my gift, and I hope you like it. So when I call your name, just smile, wave, do anything. So here we go. Welcome to the Creativity Show, where inspiration shines bright. Radio Red on her Scarlett Mic, streaming live. Yeah, that's right. The draw, Lisa, the draw of creativity takes center stage today, where inspiration and resilience meet in an imaginative way. Lisa Rothstein, wave hello. Tommy Burke, wave hello. And Dr. James Smith are on the scene. Fascinating creatives sharing their journeys keen. At our roundtable today, hear what sparks, shapes, and defines their passion and their vision as their joy intertwines. Here we go. Lisa, you're first. From Rego Park, Queens, where cartoons sparked her delight. At just 5 years old, Lisa drew Charlie Brown, just right. With notebooks full of sketches and big creative dreams, she pictured her own cartoons. There we go. In newspapers, comic scenes. Her practical parents warned, choose a steadier way. So Brown University and semiotics shaped Lisa's day. To Madison Avenue, where her bold campaigns took flight. For IBM, Haynes, and Unilever, her work was shining bright. Then from Manhattan's fast pace to Paris agency teams, ooh la la, Lisa led creative visions, elevating brands and their themes. Then later, life called louder. Lisa, the New Yorker said yes, at last. Lisa's first cartoon went viral as her talent holds fast. Now she's San Diego chapter chair where cartoon greats still shine, of the National Cartoonist Society where Charles Schulz's stars align. Lisa draws out genius where human insight starts, showing leaders and creators the power of hand-drawn hearts. Lisa, welcome. I hope you like that.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love it.
I'm
Thank you.
glad. You're welcome. And
Oh.
Tommy, you're next. I have a special introduction for you. He's got thumbs up. Here we go. From Pittsburgh start to Boston streets, 6 months in, Tommy learned that hard work was the only way to win. By 13, caddying and chasing every chance in sight, he found that work itself could teach resilience, grit, and light. From Tony's Italian villa to swan boats gliding by, the black rose shaped Tommy's love for working class hearts held high. At Boston College, communications opened one more door, while odd jobs paid the bills and taught him even more. From grip trucks into film sets where every challenge grew, Tommy became Boston's go-to PA, production assistant, the best one producers knew. Then west to Hollywood, where the Irish Bull earned fame from Johnny Depp to hit TV shows, Tommy strengthened his good name. In his book, Not Just Sunglasses and Autographs, his story takes the stage with life, near death, dark humor, and wisdom on every page. Through cancer, Parkinson's, and life's toughest tests to face, Tommy writes with heart, grit, and his uniquely hard-won grace. Tommy, I hope you like that.
I'm done. That's all I need to see. That's perfect.
Good. Thank you very much. And now, James, from Burt, New York, where family filled the air. James, the sixth of 7 children, laughter and love were everywhere. At 3, he kissed the floor each time he returned home with pride, a house full of connection where strong values did reside. His parents raised their brood with vision bold and wide, built dreams, they flew planes, they showed how faith and work coincide. In Maine, James built a log cabin from trees upon his land, a home, a marriage, 2 offspring, sustained by heart and hand. What shaped his path was a question big. How does life align? How do human hearts, psychology, and purpose all combine? As a pastor, ethics chair, and hospice guide with care, James helped folks face life's hard truth with wisdom everywhere. From Cornell's halls to Wall Street, through finance, thought, and strife, he kept pursuing deeper truths, the real map of life. Now James writes, The Real Map of Life, a GPS for your world to help us see how people, purpose, and possibility connect in unity. Welcome, James. I hope you like that.
What a gift.
Wow, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Now let me close this part of the show. No, don't go anywhere. So gather around where the cool kids and the cool vibes sway. You're all swaying with me as we dive deep into creativity today. AKA Radio Red's energy lights the way. We hope to inspire you to live large, love life, and play. So kids, how did I do? What'd you think?
Amazing.
Wow.
You're really great.
Thank
The
you.
best.
Thank you. I have
Tough act to follow.
I have a collaborator named Sylvie. We speak in French, and she helps me write these, and I'll tell you more about Sylvie after the show. But I will convey your appreciation to her, and she'll be very, very happy. So let's go around the table now. I'd like to know a little bit more about each of you, because in 14 or 16 lines, I couldn't tell your whole story. So we want to know a little more. Now, remember, this is a round table and we're not doing presentations and lectures and speeches. Talk in 2 or 3 minute sound bites. I'm not going to cut you off, but we want to know just a little more. We want everybody to hear your voices. Then we'll do the opening quotes and then we'll dive into your creativity statements. Lisa, delighted to have you. I hope you'll show us some cartoons. Lisa, I'm putting you on full speaker view. Everybody will see your punum, your beautiful face.
Oh my goodness.
I know you're up, dear, and I want you to tell us a little more about yourself. So welcome, Lisa.
Thank you so much. Well, actually, the poem you wrote pretty much tells the whole story. But as you were talking, I do keep this on my table. This is the first thing I ever bought with my own money when I was 5 years old, and you can't see it anymore because it's fallen off. But it said 40 cents. I bought this on 63rd Drive, next door to PS 139 in Queens, where I went to grade school. And I just studied it, and I have hundreds of these now, but this was the very first one. And so when I was a little kid, I just would just look at these cartoons and I would be staring at them and going, I know this is just a piece of paper. I know this is just marks on a piece of paper, but why do I feel sad or happy or angry by I look at these pictures? And I was thinking, I want to do that. I want to be able to, figure this out and make these things. And so I've always been creative in a lot of ways. I write, I draw, everything, but cartooning was always my very first love. And as you mentioned, my parents from the Depression thought I would starve in the street if I tried to do this for a job. So Advertising was another thing that I enjoyed very much. So that's really pretty much where I made most of my career during that time. But I never gave this up, and I always thought, only someday I could make it. And so, I tried getting into the New Yorker when I was growing up in New York after Brown, and I got some very nice rejection letters, actually, really, actual ones, not just form letters, which was nice. But I drifted away because it's hard to just keep throwing things out there and not getting accepted. But then 30 years later, more than 30 years later, I met someone at Comic-Con in San Diego who saw my work and said, you're pretty good. You really ought to try again because they're looking for more women now and all this other stuff. And so I thought, well, okay, I'll try. And then on my second visit, they bought something, which was I was like, if I had known that was even a possibility, I wouldn't have had the guts to go in. But and the funny thing was that it was a daily cartoon. I don't know if you know what a daily cartoon is, but it's like there's the magazine, but then there's also the cartoon they put online, and then they send it out to like 2 million people.
I'm a daily member. I get it every
Right.
day.
Okay.
Yes.
So I didn't really even know what the daily cartoon was. So when the editor said, "Oh, when she was looking at my work, she said, "Oh, that could be the daily cartoon." And I said, "What's a daily cartoon?" And she said, "Oh, it's the one we put online. If it's not, it doesn't go in the magazine, but it's more connected to what's going on in the news." I was like, "Oh, okay." And then she said, "Well, we can't. It's too late for it to go out today, but we could put it up tomorrow." And I was like, this and so they did, and it ended up going out. But the funny thing was that I started getting emails and messages from people I had not seen since PS 139, since I was like 10 years old, saying, "Are you the Lisa Rothstein who used to draw horses on the back of her math test? Is that you?" And so that was it was crazy, and I was in my mid 50s, to finally get a childhood dream. So that's where that would happen. But where my book comes from, and what you were talking about, is I love to teach other people how to be able to use hand drawings, not to make cartoons necessarily, but to tell stories and to collaborate at work and to explain what they're thinking and help and share ideas with each other. So that's where I'm at right now.
Thank you very much. That's a overnight success, right, Lisa?
Yeah, overnight plus 30 years.
Only
Yeah.
30 years later. Yes, I know. Good things do happen when
Yeah.
we're least expecting them.
Yeah.
But sometimes we were always expecting them, right?
Yes.
We just didn't know when they were going to arrive, those gifts. So thank you for sharing that.
Thanks.
Tommy Burke, I'm so happy to have you here. You have quite an interesting story. I'm going to put you on speaker view, and we'd love to know a little more about you, Tommy. So welcome.
Thank you, Bonnie. This is an amazing show. I love it.
Thank you.
I grew up in Boston. I've been to California. I've been in Los Angeles for 35 years, but I'm still a Bostonian. I went to Boston College, and I didn't know what I was going to do. All the Boston was an Irish Catholic school. They wanted the people to grow up to be white collar workers. I went to. I got a job. I got a job. I sent out 9 resumes after I graduated, and they all turned me down except for one guy. He was on the 9/11 flight later. But I went to the work on the commercial set. And I didn't know what I was doing because I did go to technical school. I remember the director said to the producer at the first day, he said, "I never want that guy on my set again." Find me right there. So I went to Vermont, worked in a factory where did a bunch of stuff, came back. I worked in a grip house and then started learning stuff. So they wanted another guy to work on the set, and I was a big guy, so they hired me. I kicked ass. I went to LA because they said, "You want to be an AD, you gotta go to LA." I went to LA. I did a job with a green incident with David Bowie. I worked a week. I got fired. So I kept at it, and I've been keeping at it ever since. I've worked on Chicago PD, worked on bus shows, and I'm on the akaRadioRed show. That's my crowning achievement right there.
You are very gracious and very kind. You've worked with big stars. You were the go-to guy, right? I had that in the opening. You were the go-to PA. Was there a highlight of where you worked as a production assistant, as a very important person in TV production, Tommy? Was there one show that just encapsulated how happy you were to be in that industry? Can you share that?
Mermaids as a PA. I worked at Mermaids with Cher and Winona Ryder. It's a picture of me carrying Christina Ricci on my shoulder when she was young, just sick because I like to go to set. When I was on, I worked at Phantoms as a first AD, and I always say my Oscar was when Peter O'Toole said to me, my nickname was Burke. He said, "Burke, if there's an Irishman, you are he." Peter O'Toole that I'm an Irishman was amazing. I really enjoyed that.
I want to know a little bit about your book, please. Your book you have a fabulous title, not just sunglasses and autographs. Why did you write the book? What's the book about?
Well, I was Chicago PD. I was doing great. I got Parkinson's. So I figured I should, I also want to let people know that don't give up. Just don't, I say I screwed up, but don't give up.
Hmm.
So I wanted people to keep going. My book's very easy to read. People say it's like sitting in a bar with me. It's very easy to read. And all the stories, all the things I talk about, the film business, all the different roles in the film business. It's a great story.
You are a great story, Tommy. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for meeting me at the summit. I appreciated that very much.
You were the
Oh,
highlight of my time there.
you're very kind. I do hear that from time to time, though. This show is a little bit different than what you're going to get. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, the National Publicity Summit is where I meet about 95% of the guests on the show during the year. And I meet about 50 to 70 people in 17 to 20 breakout rooms in 3 hours. And these three wonderful people are among those I invited to come on the show, and they followed up with their deliverables, and you're going to hear more about them as we progress with the show. So thank you, Tommy and Lisa. And now it's James's turn. James, I got to tell you all, James got on Zoom about 30 minutes early, and I made him wait until 45 after because I wasn't ready. So, James, I appreciate that promptness very much. I'm putting you on speaker view. It's your turn. Why don't you fill in some of the blanks and connect some of the dots for us, please? Welcome, James.
Hello, good to be here. Very, very nice. And I'm just grateful for the NPR, the National Publicity Summit. That was just wonderful. For the blanks, really, my life is just a trend. It's a upward, step-by-step process. It started when I was a teenager, reading the Whole Earth catalog and seeing there's a connection between social and technology and space exploration. But how does it really fit together? And I read Carlos Castaneda and Don Juan and this Journey to Ixalan trilogy. You might not know that, or you might, but it's important because right after high school in Burke, New York, 3 days I moved to California to try to find these people and see what was going on because they seemed to put life together, not just in a bunch of classrooms, all with different subjects, and you figure it out based on whatever's in your home. They just wanted to take a look and see how life went together. So I spent a couple of years out there and did a little bit of college, but not much. Then decided that 5 acres and independence and getting in touch with the land would be a great way to have everything together. So after saving a little bit and buying a mobile home and selling it for a profit, I was able to buy some land and it had the trees on it. And we cut down the trees and we built a log cabin and we built a basement out of fieldstone. And I worked and I also became very involved in the spiritual aspects and trying to find a unity there. And didn't really find it. I kept looking and looking. And so I did everything like quality control technician in a factory and things like that to keep bread on the table. But grew in the spiritual realm because that's what I was interested in. Didn't know really where it led. And so when the children got old enough to go to college, Maine was not a vibrant college town. or state. So we moved back to Western New York, and there were so many colleges, and the kids were able to go to college. And I went to college at that point as an adult. Graduated from college, and then I was working in the hospice as a director, still without a college degree, but now I had one. Um, then I just left, got an MBA, got accepted into Cornell, where I was able to study how people and money got along.
Mm.
And then I decided to move to New York City to understand the capital of capital. And but also start a PhD in human and organizational systems. So this is all growing. And then just to make a long story short and a little less boring, um,
Not boring.
I graduated with my PhD and I'd studied conflict management and all the conflict management paradigms or ways that they resolve conflict. How were they the same? So it was a similarity in the main conflict management paradigms, and those formed all of my later research. Ken Wilber and the Journal of Integral Theory, I published in that after interviewing many executives and scholars on what they thought about unity. And then I did unity research with just people of all ages, wages, and actually countries to understand what made their life whole and complete. And that became an empirical basis. And I just kept moving. And then I kind of ran out of money after all that research, as it just couldn't do everything. So um, I started writing this book, and now I'm just about done with it.
Good.
And I don't know if that makes a good story, but
It
our
makes a
lives are all
very
stories.
good story. I'll tell the three of you that early on, well, I've been doing the show for years, probably decades, but once in a while I just look at what is creativity and I come up with several words. I like alliterations. It's curiosity, it's courage, it's confidence. You have curiosity a lifetime worth, James. Lisa, you have courage. You knew that I'm not putting labels on you, but it's just fun to see how it applies. The courage to say, I'm going to be a cartoonist and I'm just going to keep asking the New Yorker, would you like this one? And Tommy, you had the confidence to keep getting up every time you got pushed down and you fell down on your butt and you got kicked out of a job. You said, I'm coming back. I want to do this. I want to be there. I want to contribute. Is that accurate, Tommy?
Maybe I was too stupid to know what I was getting myself into.
There you go. Well, and I have the courage, curiosity, and confidence to come and talk to very interesting people like the three of you. I have no communications background. I have a degree in psychology. I've got a degree in computer operations and a degree in computer programming. So what the blank am I doing here? But along the way, I discovered that I not only like to write code and to write, I'm still working on my novel. It's been 3 years, but I'm almost there. I like to talk to people and get them to talk to me. So that's why I'm doing the creativity show. And the three of you are super creative. So before I get all mushy gushy here, let's move on. And I've asked each of you to send me a quote from a song, from a fictional character in a movie or a TV show. And you all came through very well. So Lisa, I'm going to look at the quote that you sent me. I'm reading a little bit about it. And then I'm going to ask you to take about 2 minutes and tell us what it has to do with your creativity, with what you've done in your life. So Lisa has picked a quote from a character named Mame Dennis, played by Rosalind Russell way back in the day. It was a movie, a comedy film from 1958. It was
Wow.
also, wait, get this, Tommy, it was also a musical with Angela Lansbury in 1966, and it was a film in 1974 starring Lucille Ball.
Lucille Ball. Yeah.
Talk about Auntie Mame. The original is a technorama. Tommy will know these terms. Technorama Technicolor comedy film based on the 1955 novel by Edward Everett Tanner III under his pseudonym Patrick Dennis, and a play by Jerome Lawrence and Robert Edwin Lee. Blah, 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 blah. Patrick Dennis, orphaned in 1928 when his father Edwin dies, unexpectedly is placed in the care of his aunt, Mame Dennis. Where? In Manhattan. Why not? Mame is flamboyant, exuberant. She hosts parties. She's got all kinds of people coming, and they're free spirits, and they're often drunk. And she's got Vera Charles, and she's got a Cassius Page, who has a progressive school with nudist exercises. Oh no. And Lindsay Woolsey, a book publisher and a suitor for her. And she becomes very maternal toward young Patrick. And then all of a sudden, a trustee says, wait a minute, you can't do that with this young boy. This is terrible. And he enrolls him in a Cassius Page's school and blah, blah, blah. So here we go. The quote Lisa has selected is, life is a banquet, and most poor suckers are starving to death. And that's why I do this show, because you're all not. You are not starving to death with creativity. Lisa, take about 2 minutes. I'm putting you back on beautiful speaker view. Why don't you tell us how you picked this quote and what it has to do with your creativity, Lisa?
Well, I've always loved that quote ever since the first time I saw it on the in one of those movies. But it's for me, it's that I do a lot of different things. I'm cartooning because I delayed getting to do it as a profession. I got to experience lots of other ways of doing creative work. I did a lot of TV commercials. If you remember, wait till we get our Hanes on you, for Hanes underwear. That was mine. So I like to say I changed your underwear. But I mean, I've written screenplays. I've done a lot of other things. And to me, there's just so many wonderful things to do and to enjoy in life. And a lot of people just never express themselves that way because they think, oh, I'm not good enough. Other people are better than me. You know, they don't allow themselves to experience the banquet of life. To me, creativity is like that. And I forget who said, this is another quote. I forget who said it, but some poet, I think, said that the woods would be silent indeed if only birds sang who sang best. And something like that. And so the idea is not that you have to be the very best at what you do, but that you do what you can with what you have, and that's what make your life full. So
I have some famous quotes about creativity at the end of the show I will share. But once in a while in my corporate years working in marketing and other things, I had the opportunity to mentor or advise some younger people who came to me. And I said, and this is a line from a Leonard Cohen song, if you see a crack in the window, or you see the door slightly open, push the damn door open, force that window up and see what's on the other side, because it might be an opportunity. And Lisa, I can say now that we'll put something else on the smorgasbord of the banquet of life for you. And
yes.
I think I'm on my 9th or 12th career. Tommy, I know you've had a whole bunch of careers. Lisa, you've had a bunch. James is. So we're part of the banquet, aren't we? We are the ones who understood and understand, even though we might not have articulated it that way. Thank you, Lisa, for wrapping the words around how we live our lives. I appreciate it. That's why you're all here. So let's go on to, thank you, Lisa. Tommy has picked a quote from Hyman Roth, played by Lee Strasberg, the movie The Godfather Part 2, 1974, not quite as old as Lisa's movie. It portrays the early life and career of Vito Corleone and his son Michael's attempts to expand and tighten his grip on the crime syndicate decades later, directed by who else? Francis Ford Coppola, or Coppola, how you want to say it. Screenplay by him and Mario Puzo. And Lee Strasberg, interestingly enough, was an acting coach and actor. He's best known for playing the gangster Hyman Roth alongside of his former student Al Pacino. And what happened was Pacino said, Ilya Kazan, another actor, turned down the role. And they said to Strasberg, hey, you're here. Why don't you take the role? He took it. He didn't want it. He took it, and it earned him a Best Supporting Actor Oscar nomination. So here is the line Tommy has selected. And I said to myself, this is the business we've chosen. Okay, Tommy, give me a couple minutes. What does this mean to you? Go.
Well, I went through hell, as you might have guessed. I never complained. I figured when people in the film business complain, I go, you don't have to be here. You don't have to be here. You go somewhere else. This is the profession we chose. So suck it up and make it happen.
I like that. And you've had to do a lot of that yourself, haven't you?
Yeah, I did. A story. I was after Phantoms. I was in New York, and a bunch of people at the table, and a friend of mine was dating an Italian guy from New York, I remember talking, and I hadn't seen The Godfather yet. I said, I told him I haven't seen The Godfather. He was like, I can't believe you're in the film business. You didn't see The Godfather. And 20 minutes later, he said, I can't believe you said that you never see The Godfather. So I finally saw all three of them. But it's a great movie.
Thank you very much. That's very, very interesting. Yes, the business we've chosen. I used to think that sometimes doing what I do here on this show was going to be too difficult. Jordan Henson is here from Voice America Media getting us on the Empowerment Channel, but I am the producer, engineer, creator, writer, green room warm-up comedian and everything for this show. I basically do it myself. And Tommy, this is the business I've chosen is to produce a show with music and with multiple people and with a prepared opening and with Zoom featuring people and changing the camera and doing all kinds of things. And this is the business I've chosen. So I had to figure it out. I know there's no comparison to what you've all done, but for me, this was a challenge I set up for myself. Lisa, talk about the smorgasbord, about the banquet of life. This is the banquet I've chosen. I create my own graphics. This is something that's original and in Photoshop and with some AI programs. And it's just a lot of fun for me. So I understand. Tommy, thank you for that quote.
You do it well, Bonnie. You do it well.
Thank you, darling. You got to start calling me Red, okay?
Copy.
Copy. There you go. Okay. And this is an interesting quote from James. James has picked a quote from Palmer Joss, or Jose, played by Matthew McConaughey. We're going up in the more recent movie lore. This one is in 1977, so we're getting there, kids. It's a sci-fi film called Contact, produced and directed by Robert either Zemeckis or Zemeckis, I never know, based on a novel by, Carl Sagan. My goodness. Interesting. In 1979, Carl Sagan and his wife, Ann Druyan, began working on a film treatment and they set up a project with Warner Brothers. Okay. Well, development it stalled. And Sagan published the novel instead of the movie in 1985. And then the film went back into development in 1989. Palmer is part of a panel to select the first human who will go into outer space to meet with the newly discovered life forms. The movie stars Jodie Foster as Dr. Ellie Arroway, Matthew McConaughey, James Woods, Tom Skerritt, oh my goodness gracious, Angela Bassett, Rob Lowe, John Hurt, David. Wow, what a cast. Okay, so here is the quote James has selected. Did you love your father? Prove it. Okay, James, bail me out on this one. I'm not sure where you're going to go with this. Please.
It's quite an ambiguous statement, but it's the most important statement of life. It's really about love. What is love? How do we find love? How do we express love? So that was the work I was doing in the hospice at that time, and I felt like they stole my line for some reason. How do you know? And recently, I've come to realize, and also meet some other people who understand this, that exercise, when you go to the gym and you exercise, nothing happens. When you exercise every day, something might seem to happen. When you do it a year, something happens. If you brush your teeth twice a day, you'll be in good shape. But if you let that go, it will deteriorate. Love is connecting with somebody every day and being there in every way that you can. And over the years, you can determine that it's definitely love. So that's a big part of that to me.
Thank
As far as
you.
my creative process,
Yes, go ahead.
my creative process, I'm an emergentist. I believe things emerge from our life, from our doing every day. When we continually seek something or do something, something emerges that's different than what was there before. I like to say in physics, we have hydrogen that does not at any temperature have a wet feel or a wetness. Oxygen, no wetness at any temperature, but you combine the two and we get water and we get wetness. It emerges. So I've done a lot of lucid dreaming, tons of it. I ask for dreams and I get them. And in my dreams, mostly what's going on in my life comes out in a different way, but I have more control over it. And so between those things and the studies and just living, things emerge. And
Hmm.
that's my creative process. And I think that's the way the world generally works. We keep coding, we keep
Touche.
talking,
Touche.
creative coding. That's what I thought of when you said, are you a
There you
creative
go.
coder? Maybe you
I
don't want to be
I
interviewed.
was, I was, I was, I'm an early woman in tech. I
Okay.
was writing COBOL code on paper and key punching it. And I could write on the weekend 2,000 lines of code, punch them on Monday morning, and have a production system running with a report by 1 o'clock Monday afternoon at work. And I was working on a Xerox Sigma 6 CP5 mainframe. Tommy, the computers were so big they needed a warehouse size room, and all the cables were underneath the floor. They used something like a carpet picker upper, a
Yeah.
tile, a magnetic to pick up to go to the cables underneath. That's my era of coding. So when people say, "Oh, good, no code, low code," I'm saying you're missing all the fun kids. But anyway, that's the way it is. I was a fun kid. So
Yeah.
thank you all for the quotes. I appreciate it. Thank you, James. That was very thoughtful. Now we're going to go to the creativity statements. I'm looking at the clock and we've got enough time here. So Lisa, I'm just going to do your creativity statement number one. You don't have to look and find them. I'll read it. I'd like you to take about 2 minutes and then I'm going to ask Tommy and James to react, to respond. Does this resonate with them? Does it mean anything? You can say no, or you can say, yeah, that makes me think about something or other. So let's go around. Then I'll pick one from Tommy, one from James, and let's see. And then I have a bunch of quotes at the end. So Lisa says, I can't believe it, but I've taken to getting up early and being out the door, walking before dawn. I have my best ideas then. Okay, Lisa. Ouch. All right, go ahead and tell us, where do you walk? What wakes you up? And what are your ideas? Tell me.
Well, I don't know when I started doing this. You read about the 5 a.m. club and stuff like that. I don't know. I was probably during one of the time changes, and I just like to be able to see the sun come up. There's something about watching the dark go to light and being out there for that. And it's exactly a mile if I walk to this little dog park near where I live. And I'm a huge dog person. And most of my cartoons have dogs in them. And so I'll walk to the dog park, and usually by the time it's light out, there are a few dogs out there running around, and I'm watching them, and I'll get some ideas for cartoons there, but I get ideas for all kinds of things while I'm out, and it just because no one else is up yet, I just feel like no one else is going to come asking me for anything, and it's just a moment of freedom, and I really enjoy it.
I like that. Tommy, does this resonate with you about getting up real early and letting ideas flow? Any thoughts about that, Tommy?
No, but when I won't get too deep, but Parkinson's is a bit cute, doesn't sleep well, so I get up early at 3:30 in the morning. I said the podcast, but Lisa, she lives in San Diego.
Yeah.
That's an amazing city. That's an amazing city. I remember New Yorker, my parents had New Yorkers, and I never read the articles because they were too smart for me. But I read the cartoons back to back.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
Thank you. James, anything about getting up early? Work for you? Think about it?
Absolutely. I like the walking part.
Mm-hmm.
It's a walking, I don't know if it is in this case, but for me, it's a walking meditation. It's a
Mm-hmm.
walking time of just reflection and being, and all kinds of things percolate at that point. Then you can get your coffee percolating too, but
Yeah.
it
Interesting.
definitely works.
Well, I belong to an online poetry group at Writer's Digest, and in the month of April and November, we get a prompt every single day of the month from the moderator. And some days, most days, he puts the prompts up at 3 or 4 in the morning Eastern time because we have people all over the world. They are all, from what I can tell, I don't think there are any ESL people. I think they all speak native English or very good English. And by the time so in the month of April, I try to get up and I have a daily show called Say What? Good News. I'll play the music for you when we go out. And I do that around 8:30, but it takes me about a half hour to get ready. So I get up early and write 2 or 3 poems every day and post them on the site. And then what you do is you go in all day long and you read what everybody else has posted and you comment. And it's a community that goes on. Some nights until 10 or 11 at night, I'm still going on and looking to see what other but it's interesting. And I'm realizing that this Friday is May 1st. and the month of April will be over. And then we only get the prompt every Wednesday. So it'll be one day a week. But I will tell you that that stimulation, and I came up with different formats. I have a couple of very, I think, cute formats. I like alliteration, acrostics. So, Tommy, if the topic of the day was Tommy Burke, TOMMYBURKE, and I would write words that all start with T and then O and then M and Y and
That's
come up with
nice.
a dialogue. And I like to tell people, read it as one sentence. It's got nouns, it's got verbs, it's got adverbs. I'll read some to you later, but and then I have another format that is a one line of text between two people. And the first one says, hi. And the second one says, hello. And then it's ready, not where, dancing, what, tango, why, dunno, teacher, sexy, thirsty, bar, who, Fabiano, cool, hot, ready, okay. And it's just a conversation of people that would have on text. And I do this every day for the theme. Tommy, are you amused? And I'm just having a blast with it. So that's what I do early in the morning, is try to do this. And by the time I might get on, Lisa, at 7 o'clock, 7:30 in the morning, there could be 20 poets already who have published their stuff. So it's an interesting challenge. So as of May 1st, I won't be getting up that early in the morning anymore. Anyway, okay, thank you for that. Let's go to Tommy. I'm going to take your statement number one. I think I have this right from the notes. And you said, writing takes my mind off bigger problems. My life is like Jenga. I keep stacking challenges so I don't think about my body. The book has been my alternative reality. Can you unpack that for me, please, Tommy? It's fascinating. Go ahead, dear.
Whoa, I didn't know what game was that deep.
You did. You did. Go ahead. Tommy's getting deep today. Go ahead.
My whole life was trying new things. I was worked in a factory where we're packing chickens, dead chickens, not real live one chickens.
Thank God for that.
And I was a caddy. I just like trying different things. So the writing helped me a lot because when I was when I left the Chicago PD, which is a great job, it was my best job, and I had to leave it. The writing helped me project my thoughts and my dreams. And it was great because I helped people. A lot of people have read the book and said that really helped me. People going through hard times, they read it, they say, "Well, if this bonehead can do it, I can do it."
Tommy, how do you write? Do you dictate? Do you type? What's your method? May I ask?
Yes, I wrote, and a wonderful editor, Aaron Andrews, Anderson would help me with all the spelling and stuff like that because I'm dyslexic, so I have a tough time. But I just went through my life. It just, my resume's got a lot of jobs on it, so I just went job by job.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Let's talk about writing and process. James, what are your thoughts? Just briefly, when do you write best? We talked about morning and the blood flowing and all of that. What's your writing process? Do you type? Do you dictate? What do you do? Handwrite?
I write a lot right now with speech to text. And so that works so well that I just can't compare.
Mm-hmm.
And my writing is really about subject matter, and I focus on that subject, and then I look at it throughout all of life, and I look at it like non-scholars look at it. So I
Mm.
want to reach everybody.
Oh,
So I get a little bit lost in it, but then I dream about it, I think about it, I
hmm.
focus on it, and I do it piece by piece after I do the main body.
Thank you very much. By the way, I woke up from a dream the other morning, and in the dream, I said to myself, I'm a traditional woman. And I woke up and I said, get the hell out of here. That's the last thing. I don't know what in my mind was happening overnight, but that's not the way it is. Lisa, what about your writing process? And tell us, how did you write your book, Drawing Out Your Genius? Is it just cartoons or was it writing too?
Oh no, it's got a lot of stuff that's not. I mean, the first part of it is kind of about how to draw different aspects of cartoons, like like faces and people and stuff like that. So you could just, this is what I was talking to you about earlier, where it's like, you know, all these different expressions with just a couple of lines of completely different feelings. But the rest of it is really more about how do you apply this to innovation? How do you apply this to sales? How do you apply this to taking visual notes for yourself so you remember
Ah,
meetings better? How do you apply it to taking visual notes at meetings so that other people will be able to know what happened at the meeting and remember it better, things like that. But most of the text in this book, I did the speech to text thing, but not so much that I was writing, but I was just literally walking around at 5 in the morning, talking into my phone, and having Otter AI transcribe everything. And it's like, I know I want this chapter to be about this topic. And I just literally rambled with my feet and with my mouth for an hour, and then came home and then saw what I had. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I don't know, I love to write. And yet, facing the blank page has always been
yep.
very sort of nerve-wracking for me. And when you come back from having dictated a kind of a stream of consciousness transcript, at least you have something, right? You have something on the
Yes.
page. It's not blank anymore. And now I like this, I like this, that part I don't really care about, or I repeated myself here, but at least I have something. Now you're editing. Now you're not writing from
Yes.
nothing. So it just made it a lot easier for me to get this done. And the other thing that made it easy to get this done was a deadline, because
Yes.
the year before I speak about this, and I do workshops about drawing for communication. And I spoke at a big conference for the Association for Talent Development. 10,000
Mm.
people were at the conference, and everybody asked me if I had a book. And I felt like an idiot because all the other speakers had a book and I didn't have one. So when they had me back the following year, I said, this year I better have a book. But
Hmm.
then I put it off until like 2 months, 2 or 3 months before the conference. It's like, oh my God, how am I going to get this done? So that's basically how it got done in time.
Good. Thank
Um,
you.
yeah.
Very, very interesting. I decided about 8 years ago I wanted to write a play, and I had no idea what to do. I didn't even know I was going to write about. And I went online I was working a full-time marketing job in Manhattan, and I went online one night and I said Playwriting 101, and I found it was either a PDF or a Word document. It was free. It wasn't any copyright violation. And I downloaded it and put it into a document on my Mac. And the next night I just opened it up and it taught me how to set the scene, how to describe the characters, what font to use, what spacing to use. And in 3 nights, I wrote my first play from 1 till 4 o'clock in the morning without even thinking about it. And the characters were just sitting there in my mind, telling me what to say, who they were, what they looked like, how they were communicating. They met on an online dating site and they had codes and they wore Groucho noses and glasses. And I'll tell you why, because I had a TV show on Long Island called Something to Talk About. And I talked 3 community theater actors who were friends of mine to doing the play. So I cast them, I produced it, I directed it, I customized it. I said to them, you won't have to memorize the thing. We put a teleprompter in front of each one. They were sitting on a bench in the studio. You'll appreciate this, Tommy, with a big green curtain behind them. And we took pictures in front of Penn Station in New York, a video, and we took audio of cabs and buses and trains. And then we had a picture of a van with the door open and then the door closed, and we superimposed it on green screen over the actors so it looked like they had gotten into the van and they were sitting, and it was a cab. And I bought a toy steering wheel for the cabbie to drive them to their first date. And it was so good that the same actors plus another one said they want to do it. So I rewrote the ending and we did it twice. And then I did 2 more plays, but it was amazing that it just poured out. It just came out. It just came out. I want to do one quickly, one from James, and then we're gonna close, but we're just about done. James, I want to read this one because this is interesting. You say my inspirations are the places I visit and the people I see. James, I can give you exactly a minute and a half for that. 2 minutes. Go and tell us about that, please.
The places I visit and the people I see.
How does that spike your creativity? Go.
Um, I I listen, and I talk to them, and they're all about different subjects, different attitudes, anger sometimes. In Zuccotti Park, I was there. There was the anger. There was people getting married. So I celebrated a chocolate part of their reception. And I go to places that are very progressive and very conservative and very religious. I went spent time with the Kabbalists in New York City, and went and learned a little bit of what they're all about. And I spent
Interesting.
time at the Harvard Club and at the Cornell Club to see the way that they work with money and popovers. And
We talked about that
what
before we
it just
started.
gives a good understanding of what is available in the map of life.
Thank you. Your book, The GPS. Thank you very much. Thank you all for those statements. I want to read you some. We got about 4 minutes left, and I'm going to read you a couple of quotes here. By the way, Lisa, James Byrne, you know from I'm sorry. Yes, James Byrne from Talking Heads. He was on
Yeah.
a podcast called Stephen Johnson's How Ideas Happen. And he said, sometimes I have just the title of a song, I write it down and I go, expand on that. I think there's something there. And I have my computer, a whole lot of music ideas, maybe a melody, a nonsense word. I need something to start with. It is hard to start from nothing. Lisa,
Right.
that's for you.
It's
Here are a
true.
couple of quotes, everybody. Lucy Maud Montgomery wrote Anne of Green Gables in 1908, Canadian author. And her chapter 19 was called, Tommy, you're going to love this, A Concert, a Catastrophe, and a Confession. And in the chapter, she said the following: something just flashes into your mind, so exciting, and you must out with it. If you stop to think it over, you spoil it all. Ah, what a quote. And I have one from Rapunzel. Mandy Moore did the 2010 3D computer animated musical adventure fantasy comedy film. Could they squeeze anything else into that description? The movie was Tangled, and she said, venture outside your comfort zone. The rewards are worth it. Isn't that true for all of us? I think so. We all love the Rolling Stones 1969. You can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you'll get what you need, even though we don't know if we need it. And one thing from Glinda, the Good Witch of the North, played in 1939 in the original Wizard of Oz, James, played by Billy Burke. You had the power all along, my dear. I love that line. I want to read you all my acrostic from my poetry group from Wednesday, July 24th, 2024, and I dedicate this to all of you. It's an acrostic, and the theme, the prompt was night shift, NIGHTSHIFT. I will lean in when I get to each line. So never quite really at rest. It's the life of a creative, going, gripping, gyrating, growling, groaning, growing, highs and lows flowing on a mental Mobius strip. The days are the nights are the days again, shifting off and on into and out of gear, hoping for unique brilliance even once. It's a calling, command, curse, roller coaster, finding eureka, euphoria amid frustration and fears. Thus is the life of the creative. And I dedicate that to the three of you. Tommy, did you like that?
Amazing.
You're too nice to me. I'll read you one other funny one. This one was write a blank like blank acrostic. So this is just BLANKLIKE, BLANK. Believe in love always. Never kiss a leprechaun in a kayak. Every boat's like a nervous kangaroo. There you go. That's just having fun. So I'm going to read you a couple close. We've got about 2 minutes here. Stick around and we'll talk afterwards. In 2014, Lisa, I closed the show with the top 10 tips for women. I saved my notes. You should see what I've got here. And the first one was 10 years before the movie. It's aspire to be Barbie. The biatch has everything. Okay. There you go. And here's one for all of you. Don't get your knickers in a knot. It just makes you walk funny. Okay. And here's the final. We have music and we're gonna dance when we go out. So here's my final words. Life is short. Break the rules. Forgive quickly. I'm still trying to figure that one out. Kiss slowly. That I know. Love truly. Right, James? Yes. And laugh uncontrollably. Everybody laugh with me. 1, 2, 3.
Ah,
Not bad. And don't hurt yourselves. And never regret anything that made you smile. Final words. Work like you don't need the money. Dance like no one's watching. I taught disco in a high school cafeteria. At least 175 people showed up for the first class. They made me dance on a Formica tabletop. I said to them, you build me a wooden stage. OSHA didn't know anything about it. Everybody watched what legs I had, and I never fell. But boy, that was risky. Sing like nobody's listening. I tried not to sing. And love like you've never been hurt. We all have. Let your heart come back. Regroup, regrow. Learn to love again. James said something like that already. Money talks. Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Chocolate sings. La. I like chocolate. And last but not least, I stole this line from somebody else years ago. I'm Radio Red. Thank you for turning me on. And now we're going to go out with our music, if I can find it. And here we go. Okay. Dance with me. This is the music from my new show.
Good news.
Good news.
Say what?
Say say what? And I did create this music. Wait till you hear the words. Morning coffee. Decaf, please. Scrolling. I've had enough. Same old drama. Same old feed. Flip that dial. That's what I need. Let those bad vibes fade. Let those headlines go away. Hit play. Good news. We talk about it. Lift that mood, right, Tommy? Good people doing what they do. I dedicate this to all of you. Feel that smile coming through.